Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We are here yet again. Post-race reactions after the Monaco Grand Prix. Monaco, land of gambling in it.
Tax haven. Hey.
Tax haven place.
No income tax.
Tusha,
It's the land of 10% million dollar. Sorry, US dollar millionaires.
10%.
10%.
Tax haven huko ndio Lewis Hamilton and Nico Hulkenberg wamejificha. I don't know why people say Lewis Hamilton is British and yet he resides.
I actually found out that Perez is also a resident huko at Monaco. Yeah.
Na Max?
Max Pierre.
Max pia.
hata mimi exclusive iko mahali Monaco. It is registered somewhere.
Yet to see.
You're doubting me?
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, welcome to a reaction episode. This is actually the mini-sode. Tulikuwa tuifanye kama drink champs like last time, but tuliona, you know, as you can see right behind us, lazima tupande kabei kidogo. But anyway, let's get right into it, yeah? Monaco Grand Prix, mlionaje?
Nail biting. Yeah. As in, you know, history Monaco inajulikana as a boring race.
Yeah.
But I think this one was sweet, right?
Ngoja, historically ama recent bias? Recency bias.
Well, even last year, I believe last year's race is part of history, right?
Now, ukisema historically, you're basically like, you're talking about, I don't know, the last 10, 20 years.
Okay, yes, imekuwa boring. Even on this race.
Yes, imekuwa boring. Like historically, ama the last 5 years.
For me. I wish they took it out. But for this particular one, especially after the rain, it was quite interesting because there was a time there was this Logan train, all of them wanting to go to the pit stop here for something.
Okay, I have a question for Mushiri. Yeah? Najua umesikia Kenya amesema. Which brings me to that question tuliulizana kwa podcast. Sijui kama naikumbuka. What is entertainment in Formula 1? You remember that question?
Yep.
Na umesikia sahi yeye mwenyewe, you've heard it from the horse's mouth itself. Umesikia akisema something to do with imekuwa enjoyable especially when the rain came. And I remember talking about what entertainment is in Formula 1 na nikasema action is entertainment. Na yeye alikuwa ananiambia Formula 1 overtakes ndio entertainment.
Let me answer that. Now, for me, the entertainment part is the people who kept their heads cool.
Mhm.
Among them being Max, who else? Hamilton.
Mhm.
Those are okay, especially Hamilton, a very experienced driver. When in changing conditions, he was able to remain on course.
Mhm.
But we saw Russell making a mistake. We saw Sainz making a mistake. But among that chaos, there were people who kept their head cool, and that is where the entertainment part for me comes from. Is those people who are able to adapt to those changing conditions. Yeah.
On today's Grand Prix, we did see experience put to the test because kulikuwa na position whereby the primary 1, 2, 3 ABCs of the race didn't apply, and you guys had to think out of the box. The strategy guys had to think out of the box. What did you make of it, and who do you think actually came up with the best strategy for the race?
I think Red Bull did, because if you remember, Max started the race on mediums, yeah, and Pirelli said the mediums can do a maximum of 40 laps at Monaco, and by the time Max was hitting the 40th lap, Alonso was around 6 seconds behind, and that meant Alonso was actually behind on hards. Now that means Alonso could push deeper into the stint, force Max to pit, and when Max pits, Alonso takes track position. And you know at Monaco, track position counts for everything. So strategy, and also hopping on to what Mushiri just said, where you have to keep your head down and play cool. Max was able to push his stint, I think, plus 10 laps, because he only pitted when it started pouring for intermediates. So seeing Red Bull not making any hasty decisions to try and cover Alonso, to me that was really good from a strategy position, where you have to think out of the box and go against the grain, because according to your discussions before the race, you say that yes, you're starting on mediums. This situation or this scenario where Max is able to cover Alonso by a pit stop, that's around, let's say, 19 seconds or more, then Max can comfortably pit. But in this scenario, Max wasn't in a position to comfortably pit and come out of, in front of Alonso. So seeing Max push deep into his stint, speeds of rain, yeah, where now everyone is being forced to think on their toes, yeah. So seeing Red Bull being able to convince Max to go longer, then just wait for the rain, keep him calm. Then when it was time to switch to the intermediates, to me that was super. That was a super good execution of the strategy.
Speaking of thinking on your toes, yeah. I'm saying we because I'm a Tifosi, as you all know, and last year, especially last year, Ferrari were confronted with the issue of, how well do you use your strategy. Like, a lot of guys actually, if you guys are new to Formula One, a lot of guys understood Formula One to be a strategic sport based on primarily the reason because last year Ferrari were actually queried on that situation or on that platform in regards to strategy. Yeah, what did you make of the strategic decisions today, and do you think they have improved on the strategic thinking from last year?
Ferrari.
Yeah.
Okay, they started ahead of Mercedes. They finished behind Mercedes. And then, okay, there are some things that I saw. And while I was watching, I told you, them not pitting signs after that collision, it was a good idea because he wasn't falling back. But trying to mimic Ocon's strategy. And as you all know, if somebody's ahead of you, you mimic his strategy, you're always gonna come out behind.
Facts.
And Sainz was so furious. But as much as he's furious with the team, he also made a mistake. He went to that runoff area. So Ferrari, from that strategy to the driver, no wonder Charles finished ahead of Sainz for that one. So Charles a bit better, but for Sainz it was a disaster. He had an opportunity to get on the podium, but it's gone.
Okay. The race was so eventful. I feel like we still have a lot to talk about here, but I also have to touch on the quali. Arguably best quali of the season, best quali for the past 2 years, I think. The quali was action packed. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. Link down on the description below. Qualification for this year's Monaco Grand Prix was something else. What did you make of it?
Again, just nail biting like the race. Yeah. Q1, I know a bunch of Mercedes fans / Hamilton fans. Let me be specific.
Watu wa cult. Mnaongelesha, you're being addressed.
They had a hat in mouth moment. Yeah, because their boy Hamilton was almost being kicked out in Q1. Yeah, and the boys have been complaining, at least from free practice 3 still yesterday, and during qualifying that they weren't really comfortable with the car. Of course, which is not strange because they introduced their big update at Monaco. So of course the drivers had to come up to grips with that.
Which you could argue is a different car for the drivers. Like the drivers going into the car, they felt it as a different car. You could argue that.
Yep. Hamilton seemed happy. I didn't see any reaction from George, but I remember him on the radio complaining that his rear tires were overheating. He was locking his rear tires, and I think also he was locking the front a little bit during free practice. But going back to quali, nail biting, Q1 nail biting. Yeah, Hamilton almost getting kicked out. He barely made it through. George seemed stronger than Hamilton in Q1 and Q2, but in Q3 Hamilton was able to pull a rabbit out of the hat. But of course, the highlight of the moment was seeing Ocon, Alonso, and Max exchanging P1 in Q3, and I think that was really exciting because it went down to the last minute, where Ocon time was on top of the timing chart. Then we had Alonso And to be honest, when Max was doing his last lap, after seeing the time delta in sector 2, it was a point 2 of a second, 2 tenths.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, God damn, Max is just going to settle for P2.
For P2, yeah.
Then seeing Max doing Max things.
That sector 3 will go down in history as one of the best sector 3s on earth. Ama in history. That sector 3.
Yeah, but if only Max was able to complete the Jeddah 2021.
Oh, yeah. Jeddah 2020, the one he crashed out of, yeah?
Yeah. I think that would have been more fire, if I may put it that way. But at the end of qualifying Q3, it set up the grid for the race day on Sunday. And it was pretty clear that at the front it was going to be an interesting race. Because initially we had Max, Alonso, then Charles, then Ocon, then I think it was Carlos, then Samuel Hamilton and the rest of the guys.
Yeah, that didn't happen obviously because Leclerc served a penalty where he impeded Lando Norris at the tunnel. And okay, I won't speak much about it because I'm indifferent on that decision.
His race engineer fucked him up.
I'm indifferent on that decision because there is a lot of blame going around. Everybody has a finger to point to.
Who do you think is to blame?
I'm still not settled. I'm still not decided. Like I said, I'm indifferent on that. Nah, no, it's not gonna happen. And you've taken the meat from the story about Quali with Max and everything that happened. I wanted to ask you, what did you make of Verstappen sector 3?
Okay, so it proved if the barriers are soft, like if you can push them a bit, if the barrier is not, you can actually push the barrier kidogo to take a shortcut and you might gain 2 tenths on one sector. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it was. And come race day, Darth Vader himself. For those of you unfamiliar, Darth Vader is Fernando Alonso himself, performing miracles in the Aston Martin. And he was in a situation. He had pitted for softs, or no, mediums rather. He had pitted for mediums after being asked, how do you see the track or how do you view the track? And he was like, the mediums will suffice, And 2 laps into with the mediums, he was like, hey, yo, bro, listen, I need the intermediates or the wet tires, yeah? I need the intermediates. And what did you make of that? Was that a fluke, wrong judgmental call from Alonso?
Oh, first of all, I'm amazed that the pit guys were coming out with medium tires and rain falling on them. Somebody should have known something is wrong. But lucky he had a good gap behind, so he pitted twice. Yeah, to Ocon. He pitted twice and still maintained P2. That was very lucky. Whether it was calculated that if the mediums are not the right tires, we can still pit for the inters. Whether it was in the plan or not, I'm not sure. But if it was, kudos to them. But if it wasn't, they are very lucky.
Okay. Speaking of Alonso, his teammate, Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll seemed to have one hell of a race. A hellish one in that. I'm not saying one hell of a race at ilikuwa race mzuri. He had a terrible race. He had a nightmare of a race. If his race was summed up into a movie, we'll call the movie, I don't know, Nightmare on Stroll Street or something like that, So, what did you make of Stroll and his current issues at Aston Martin, given that his father is the owner of the team?
I think Aston Martin just bringing Alonso in meant that Lance had a huge task or a monumental task to try and match up to Alonso, at least get to later like a second to Alonso during race day.
I have to interject. I'm sorry, guys. I have to interject. Wasn't he Seb's teammate last year? Seb is a 4-time world champion, mind you.
Yeah, but it's unfair if we compare Seb and Alonso, because to be honest, Alonso is an outlier. He's 41 years old, and the guy is still bringing it on the track. You can actually say he's It's not that you can actually say, it's a fact. He's right now on the grid. He's the second best driver, to be honest, on that Aston.
Why not the best?
Hey, see Max ako juu.
Nah, come on. Look at this here. I fancy on equal machinery, Alonso will be a problem for Max.
Yeah, I agree, and that's the same for Lando, George. Put any other driver on equal machinery. Of course, they'd be
No, we could argue that, but on equal machinery, yeah, I do fancy seeing what Alonso is producing on this AMR 23. Seeing what his teammate Lance is producing. Look, listen. I've never been into a driver like this in a minute, but credit where credit is due. Yeah, guys, listen. Credit where credit is due, and I have to say, Alonso is performing miracles on that Aston Martin. Like he's actually producing results I didn't think possible. Like you guys have watched F1 for a minute. You've watched F1 for a minute, not 5 years, not 6. You've watched it for 10 plus years, yeah. I've also watched it for 10 plus years. You've watched it for 10 plus. You have some pedigree in the sport, yeah. What Alonso is doing on this Aston Martin is actually something that, you know, hey, listen, hats off.
It's crazy. You know, at the moment they are second in the constructors championship with, is it 120 points? I believe, yeah, 120, and Mercedes are behind with 119. Do you know Alonso?
No, right now, as we speak, Mercedes are behind Aston Martin with 1 point.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying, 120 and 119.
Yeah.
But you could argue all those points are Alonso's points.
Yeah.
Exactly my point. Alonso is carrying the team on his back.
So I mean, you know,
Yeah.
something going on there.
Yeah.
And speaking of something going on there, yeah. What did you make of? There was a situation you actually put me onto, where Yuki Tsunoda was actually being told, you know what? If you go late on the brakes, you'll actually go faster. And it was the downpour was at its immense moment. Like it was prime downpour moment. And Yuki was like, "Are you guys trying to kill me? Are you guys trying to end my race? What are you guys up to? Who is pushing you up to this? What did you make of it? And what are your thoughts?"
Okay. First of all, Yuki was having a very good race, and then the rain came, and he needed to defend from Lando, and he was told, where you're losing time is on the braking zones. You need to brake later, and he was saying, like they said, do you want me to crash? And he was told, "Come on, Yuki, you can do it." And I think he could have done it, but I'm not sure whether it is a driver error or it's a problem with the brakes, because we have known AlphaTauri, even in De Vries, has been suffering with brakes. So I don't know whether the brake issue came back, or Yuki couldn't brake as late as the team wanted. So I'm not sure. But he had a very good race, and then he dropped to 11, his home position.
I mean, stings to be out of the points, yeah. Stings to be out of the point. Now, before we close off the minisode, yeah. Monaco was controversial for a few reasons. Primarily, one of them being the fact that the cars were actually floated into the track, and guys had a glimpse on the coveted floors of the top 3 teams on the grid, arguably. Do you expect some drama to brew in the coming weeks? Do you expect some teams to react based on what they saw? In case most of you don't understand what I'm talking about, yeah. Aero is a really big part in Formula One, and part of that aero, more than half. Part of that aero you see on the cars. Ukiangalia tu hivi, when you just look at the cars, you can just see they're aerodynamically acuted to the situation, but most of it is unseen, and the unseen part is also the part that's on the floor. Yeah, that's why you hear floors being updated and things like that. And guys try to keep it a secret. Guys try to, you know, they don't reveal the floor plan so that guys can't map it out and replicate it, because, you know, in Formula One everything matters to the last 10th of a second. Nah, 100th, 1,000th of a second, 1,000th of a second. So we did see cars being craned into the circuit, the Ferrari, the Mercedes, and the Red Bull. And the Red Bull car caught a few eyes. Now, do you expect guys to react to what they saw, or do you expect guys to, you know, chill, and try and do their own thing. Do you expect any movement? Do you expect anything to go on the grid?
Well, I heard someone on Twitter that Toto made a comment, but it was of course in good spirits, just saying like, "Hey, those marshals, what's up? What's up with lifting the cars that high?" Yeah, but it wasn't a serious comment or trying to stir up a storm or something. Um, but definitely during this in this ground effect era, what you have on your floor is your secret sauce. Uh, for guys who make cars, see, there's a side A, there's a side B. So the side that's on top, or what people can actually see, that's your rear wing, your beam wing, um, your front wing. People can copy that stuff. But in this era, how you make your downforce is your secret weapon. So seeing gari ya kwanza juju Hamilton kwanza sijui ni Hamilton alikuwa alisema gari yake peleke kwa nyumba yake. Unajua anaishi Monaco. Anapeleka gari kwangu bana, usirudishe kwa garage. But anyway, I remember seeing Hamilton's car being lifted, and I was like, yes,
in the air.
yeah,
And you're like, yeah, we can now see.
yes. Because the floor was actually one of the parts that Mercedes introduced as their 14 W14, L14B.
Yeah.
Yeah. So seeing that car being violated,
I don't want to say this because of the fear of being cancelled, but you know, this is as bad as that pretty lady walking in a dress. Yeah, even that's it's that bad. So it's as checky, cut that part out, Mr. Director. Cut that part out. But yeah, that's how violation imefika hiyo level.
Yeah.
Violation imefika hiyo level. And speaking of Hamilton, yeah, he did go to Shakira na akaamua kuchukua the hips himself. He decided to go to Mrs. Shakira ama Miss Shakira and get the hips for himself, akazileta kwa W14. Did you think the W14 with the new improved hips, or the side pods for those of you who don't understand what I'm talking about, do you think the W14 will now be more competitive going into the second half of the year?
I think we mentioned it in the previous one. We said Monaco is going to be hard, but when I was looking at the gaps, the cars ahead of Mercedes, I don't remember who they had a bit of a gap. I don't know whether they were the Mercedes guys were just holding back, or they didn't have pace. I wasn't sure, but the strategy saved them, or the Ferrari blunder saved them to be in those positions. But to say whether they have improved or not, we still can't know. We have to wait for Barcelona next week.
Next week in thank you for umenipatia hata the end part ndio nimalizie vizuri. Sasa ni touchdown, ni home run, whatever you want to call it. Another watch along, another Red Bull dominance.
1-2.
No, it's no.
Another one. It's going to be the fifth.
Yeah.
The fifth of the year.
And round 6, yeah, because last week didn't happen. So this is round 6. So round 6 out of 23. That's a third of the race is done.
But in the books, that's still saying it's 7.
Yeah, still round 7. So that's like a third of the race is done, or like a quarter to the third. Like it's it's in between there. Valley, and we hope you guys keep on coming. We hope you guys keep on showing the love, showing the support. Share, like, subscribe, do what you have to do, and I'll see you on the next one at Barcelona. Yeah, I hope you guys come through. It's been fun doing this with you. And closing comments, your driver and team of the day. Closing comments, and before we catch you on the next one in Barcelona.
Driver of the day.
Driver and team of the day.
So for the team of the day, I would give it to Mercedes. And for the driver of the day, it was Yuki. Just before he went to that runoff area, for me it was Yuki. But after that, I'll have to either pick the one chosen by the people, Ocon, or Max. Between the two, it's a tie for me. Max and Ocon, it's a tie.
Interesting. You driver and team of the day.
Driver of the day.
Ngoja na closing comments pia.
Nimechoka kusema Max driver of the day bana. Other drivers, pull up your socks.
Pull up your socks.
Team of the day. I actually haven't thought about it, but I see Alpine somewhere there. Actually, it's Alpine, and my reason is, Alpine started the year vibaya tena sana. Yeah, as in just think Ocon the first race at Saudi, sorry, at Bahrain, multiple penalties. Jeddah fucked up. Baku Ocon starting from the back. Remember also Baku, Nania also had a problem with his car, Gasly during free practice. Melbourne, it's no secret, they both collided and took each other out. And also their CEO came out strongly, calling the team amateurs. So seeing them turn around and seeing both drivers get good points for the team, that was really good. And I was really hoping that they'd edge closer to Ferrari and Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. But Alpine takes the team of the day for me. And my driver of the day is Max.
Biasness as usual.
Wewe.
From the man himself, these have been my gracious hosts, Mr. Dan himself, and Mushiri. Yeah, enjoyed watching the race with you guys again, and it's been me, it's been late. It's your boy Ace. I was avoiding it, but ni sawa, ni sawa, ni sawa.
Okay.
Anyway, driver of the day.
Better question. Loser of the day. That only you can answer that.
My driver of the day, yeah, surprisingly Ocon. I was really impressed in how he held his ground because the pressure gets to people. And I was really impressed in how he just kept it basic. He just made sure he stuck with the plan and saw the plan through. Seeing the plan through, sticking to the plan is one thing. Seeing the plan through is another thing. So Ocon for me, driver of the day. No. This is my opinion, but team of the day, Mercedes has to be Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton, where they started on the grid. George Russell, and how well they adapted to the situations that occurred during the race. By situations, I mean the rain and everything. They capitalized their moment, and or rather, they capitalized on the mistakes of their opponents, and they made most of the points they were supposed to get. Mercedes wangetoka na points car maybe 20 something, but they got out to 30 plus points or something like that. 20 something. Walitoka on 20 something.
Shout out to McLaren. Also, they did a good job. Can I ask
Yeah, McLaren. As unaweza uliza.
What do you mean Ocon is your driver of the day? As in, who didn't know that Ocon was going to form a train behind him? Who didn't know that?
Nah, I know, but it's one thing.
Who was behind Sainz? Who was behind Sainz?
Hamilton.
Was he close?
Yeah.
Okay. He was
by lap. I think it was by
the American who had the train.
Listen, it's
Ocon had Alonso actually left him na 11 seconds. I think it was a lap, either early 30s or late 20s.
now that's what I'm talking about, because if you remember in turn one, I think not turn one. I don't really remember. I don't remember ilikuwa turn one. Turn one was Sainz defending Hamilton, but there was a turn where Ocon was defending Sainz, and that's where Sainz got nini yake ilivunjika. His front wing actually incurred some damage.
Okay, if the place where I'm giving Ocon credit is because behind him was Sainz with a faster car.
Yeah.
And somehow Ferrari couldn't pass. Yeah. Even after.
Yeah, and this is what I'm actually talking about. Sorry for cutting you short. This is what I'm talking about, bro.
Ocon would have finished P3.
No.
This is why I'm actually giving him credit, because listen, there is going to stick to a plan, and there is sticking to the plan. That's a job in itself. Hey, come on, listen. Plus, wait. Plus, it's my opinion, so you can't really do shit about it, It's really my opinion. So, I mean, let me just give him the credit. You guys, listen.
Okay,
just give him.
I want to tell Ramin something. You see, when people will write the history, among the people who have podium on Monaco, Ocon will be there, and in that race, in that race, they will. If you ask, was Sainz with Ferrari there? Yes. Did he crash out?
Listen, I'm going to cut you short, guys.
Was Charles there?
It's been real. Listen, it's been real. I appreciate you guys. Catch you on the next one. Peace out. It's been me. It's been your boy AS, the trouble man himself. This is Mushiri.
Enda ukapone. Go and heal.
Mushiri, and this is Ramen.
Yeah.
Fun fact. I'm in between a Red Bull sandwich. Same happened in the Monaco Grand Prix. P1 alikuwa a Red Bull car. P20 was a Red Bull car. So, you know, anyway, it is what it is. Go like, share, subscribe, join the group. Do everything you have to do to support the movement, and turn up for the next one again. It's been lit. Peace.